Welcome back to The Pitch. This is episode 2, Understanding Journalism in a Broad Sense. And just as a reminder, this is a journal series of me moving from being a student journalist into the professional world. In episode 1, we covered my motivations and fears, and today we're going to focus on the challenges and opportunities within journalism with a focus on Scotland. There's a resource pack on the side of this. You'll be able to find that on the website and also in the notes. The news world is in flux and Scotland's no exception. We've always had a strong tradition of news as part of the public debate, but change, as we all know, is on the way. Let's do a sweeping history of journalism in Scotland. In 1783, the Glasgow Advertiser was launched. Not for the first time, I have messed up my history, so I just wanted to jump in here because I did say I was going to chronicle my mistakes and lessons learned, so I've actually spent a bit of time on the history line and tidied it up a bit, so just to clear up some of the history, you'll find it on the website. A nice brief but clear line of journalism in Scotland, and I hope you enjoy that there. We reached a peak of Scottish newspaper circulation, which was in the 1980s. The Daily Record saw 750,000 copies being sold daily. After this peak, and since the 2020s, this has been on decline sharply ever since as we shift towards digital. So what are these challenges? So we have economic pressures. As you'll see from the table from Bella Caledonia, there's been a declining revenue model, plus print media has been on the decline. And then one other problem that's been happening is Meta and Alphabet have been gaining a lot of the ad share, because when they put the news stories from smaller organisations into their sites on news, they get the eyeballs on those sites and are able to take the ad revenues, which do not filter down to some of the national outlets or even the independent outlets. There's also the increased production and distribution costs, which these smaller and national organisations have to do, which is not the case for Meta and Alphabet. And then we have our technological advances. There's the digital transformation, which some news organisations have shifted better with, and some have struggled. There's the platform dominance of Meta and Google. And then we have the influence of AI on news, the shift to short-form video, and that's often on smartphones, as you'll see from this chart on screen, from the Reuters Institute. We're on to trust and disinformation in Scotland, which fell from 51% in 2015 down to 35% in 2025. Some of the contributing factors are to do with misinformation, polarisations, echo chambers, and filter bubbles. And this builds suspicion and cynicism, as well as mistrust. On to workforce issues. There's declining staff numbers. There's the closure of physical spaces for people to go. There's the ask of journalists to be multi-skilled, which risks the loss of specialisations, leading to long hours and burnout. There's a lack of political and class diversity within newsrooms, as well as an ageing workforce population. And then there is restrictive laws like the Online Safety Act, which is big in the media right now. On to opportunities. So there's the digital revolution. We've talked about the challenges, but there's also opportunities within that space. There's new platforms and formats. There's the integration of multimedia. And then spaces for things like long form to grow again. And then the use of AI on automation, research, transcriptions, headline summaries, and fact-checking. We have the growth of some independent and local media, which is impactful investigative journalism like The Ferret. There's cooperative models like Greater Govanhill, with community approaches towards that. Then we're having them step into spaces which legacy media is stepping out of. Jumping on to funding. So the non-commercial funding approaches that some of these organisations are doing through memberships. There's lessons to be learned from Quebec, Denmark and Ireland, who are using tax incentives to support public interest news. There's the Scottish Public Interest Journalism Institute, which has been backed by the Scottish Government, although I believe they're still waiting for some financial contributions. There's community ownership being examined. And then there's tax incentives which have been proposed, especially to do with the Scottish Government and how they use their marketing budget. So question over to you. What lessons from this landscape could shape your approach to journalism? And how will you adapt to its challenges and seize the opportunity? As always, I've answered the question too. The lessons for me is to stay independent, be multi-skilled in order to adapt, use these digital platforms wisely to stay in control, and then use my reporting and being transparent, as well as adapting to the news that people are consuming. I'm Michael Dale. This is The Pitch. Thanks for staying with me through episode 2. See you in episode 3.